Hi, and welcome to Sit and Knit for a Bit. I'm your host, Melissa. This is the second time I've tried to record this morning, and I already have like a little frog in my throat, so bear with me. I should go grab a water bottle, but I just want to get this over with now. I'm sorry that my last video just got posted last night, and now I'm doing another one. But I actually recorded that video last weekend, and I was having some technical difficulties. I recorded that one on my iPad like I'm doing now, and was having some trouble logging into the YouTube page. And then I was like, well, maybe I can transfer it over to my phone, and that wasn't where. Finally got. Oh, and it took like 2 days for it to load, so this might be a few more days before this one loads. Anyway, okay. So, I want to talk about a new project I'm planning on doing in the far future. And then update you guys on my projects for my trip, which is in 2 weeks. And then talk about the one project I'm trying to get finished, which is the cable cardigan. So, let's begin. Let it begin. Oh my god. And I swear it's the stuttering and the mishaps is worse when you record again, because you're like, wait, did I already talk about that? Okay, so I was sitting in here in my wonderful yarn room for the first time in like forever, and knitting and just enjoying my day. I was drinking coffee and listening to an audiobook, and I was like, let me look at Facebook real quick, and this lady had posted this beautiful shawl, and it's a kit pattern, but it was just a little bit outside my price range, and I'm sorry. I love to support you guys, but I can't do that. Plus, I don't need any more yarn, and I was like, I can kind of do that, at least that idea of myself, so I apologize to you. I absolutely love it, and my brain was like, I'm willing to pay that much money to gift it to somebody, but for me, I could do it, with yarn I already have, so free. I'm a gifter. Anyway. So I printed off the picture just for inspiration, just for an idea of, what she did. So what it looks like is, and I don't have the pattern, so mine's not going to look anything like this. But it looks like she had kind of like a base color of like a whitish blue, and then she introduced a couple sections of other blues and just got darker. I didn't really like this idea. I don't know. Once again, just an idea. Thank you for the idea. Sorry. So originally I was like, oh, this, and of course the real picture looks a lot better than my horrible printed picture. I guess I can zoom in, you kind of see a little bit better. But gorgeous. And love the ballet slippers, by the way. So I was like, oh, beautiful. And for me, it looks like a beach with waves, and if I could find like anyway. But I'm trying to use scrap yarn. I figured I could use a full hank for like what I call the base color, the starting, and then sections between each of the other colors. Once again, mine's gonna be different probably. And then so I use a full hank for that, and then all the sections do a scrappy, scrap yarn, scrap sock yarn. I have lots of that. I usually, after I finish any project with scrap yarn, I usually make a little square, my meters blanket, my Cozy Memories blanket, which I'm going to show you today. But I still end up having some yarn left over. And so I thought I would grab some of those. So I have a couple little balls here of some yarn that I think will go. Plus the yarn from the socks during my trip will go really well. It actually looks a lot like this one, to tell you the truth. The lighting is just awful. Sorry. It's like a moon. So I have this one. And then I got some of this. I have two hanks of this from a friend of mine. This Knit Pick Stroll. And I'm tired. I've already done this. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. So this looks like... Sorry. I was reading upside down. Social Knit Girl. I was like, what? That's Saka. And then I have this for like the darker, but it's got like blacks in it, and I don't think it's gonna go very well. And for the base, Tina's Twisted Fibers. I'm reading backwards. And it's oh my god. This is awful. Because I've already done this, I should have started with this. So obviously I'm doing purple, and I'll tell you in a minute why I'm not doing blue. God, this is awful. So this is like a creamy white with gray, and to me the gray looks like it has maybe some purple in it, or at least goes with purple. This is the only like base color skein that I have that would work for this project, and I just don't think that blue would go with this. Now it does have some random colors here, which I think it's so small it won't make much of a difference. But there is some like pinkies, and so I think that will go with the purple. The reason why I'm not doing a blue one like hers, and it was gorgeous, and maybe someday I will, is because I couldn't find a base color that I owned that would have worked. I looked. I mean, I was like, I will even do a white, and I couldn't find it. You know what? I was like, a white with a little bit of yellow, like a sandy color, because it looked like a beach with waves. Yeah, I couldn't find it, so I was like, screw it, I guess I'm gonna go with purple. Hopefully when I get to the other projects, this will be better, because I just finished talking about these. So, here's my little bucket I'm going to start collecting. I figured I probably won't start this project until a year from now, probably 6 months to a year from now. So I have plenty of time to collect and figure out which yarns I want, how to do the pattern. But I'm super excited about it, and I was like, it's going to be gorgeous! So, just a quick idea. I was way more excited about it in my last video. Sorry. Oh, I'll show you I figured this would go really well with that. Like I said, it's a lot like the other purple. It's not too bad, it's just not there. It's a little lighter than that. Maybe like this without creating a shadow. So, okay, that's done. No idea what I'm going to call it. No idea what I'm going to cast it on. No idea how I'm going to do it. It's just an idea. So this is now in my idea bin. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is my projects for my trip, which my trip is just shy of 2 weeks away, you guys. So excited. I purposely and smartly already started the projects. I always recommend that. There's your tip for the day. Always start your projects before you go, unless it's something you've done a million times and you know it's gonna be simple, whatever. You never know what could happen. You never know if the pattern actually is as easy to follow as possible, or if you're gonna enjoy it. I've said in the previous videos, I've had one where I brought, in fact, I want to start that one. That was a weird flicker. It was the camera, not me, so I don't know if you guys saw that. There's a project that I want to do, but it's a very lacy shawl, and in fact, as soon as I come back from my trip, I'm probably going to start that one, because I really want to get that one finished. But it was just too much during a camping trip. Thank goodness I had an extra pattern or project with me, so I worked on that. So, always start. I started my sock. Yes, just because it's a basic sock, I went ahead and started it because the toe, it can be a little cumbersome, and I wasn't sure if I was going to want to knit this in the car, and if I was going to be knitting in the dark in the car, because we're mostly driving at night. So I went ahead and just got the, one of the hard parts out of the way. That way, when I get in the car, I could just knit a tube. Don't have to look at it, unless I drop a stitch or something. Ah! So, yep. Went ahead and started the toe, and I am going to an air show, so I pulled out my purple and airplane stitch marker I had put together a couple years ago. I used to bead a lot, and now the only beading I do is making my own stitch markers, because I fell in love with knitting and don't care about making jewelry anymore. I made enough that I've actually started wearing them for work. I'm not wearing any pair. I'm wearing my favorite pairs. I'm actually going to wear, I think I'm going to wear these on my trip because they're small enough that they're not going to get in the way. They're just a basic metal little tree with a little brown, like little, I guess, copper at the bottom. So to go with pretty much anything you're wearing. I don't have to color match. But they're big enough that I look like a girl. I found it. I look better with earrings with short hair. So, anyway. Then, my Enchantment Under the Sea shawl. This is one of the reasons why we start things before we go on a trip. That pattern was written to be harder than it needed to be. The picture looked pretty simple. Looked like sections of stockinette and sections of garter. And the pattern was just, like I said, it was just harder than it needed to be. There was some weird increase in there, or there was something. I'm sorry, I'm watching the birds out the window. It was just something weird. And I was rewriting, like copying the pattern. And I was going to, I've done it where I've copied it onto a little sheet of paper and then I taped it to like a little piece of cardboard to carry with me. But you're looking for something about this big that can go in the project bag while I'm walking around or sitting at the camp, just something to reference. It wasn't something that you could just reference. You would have to sit there and stare at it and really pay attention. And I was like, no, this is not what I'm looking for while I'm camping. So I was like, but it looks simple. It looks like a simple project. I don't understand. So I was like, you know what, fine. I'm just going to do it myself. What I think the turnout's going to be. I don't care. And obviously I do that a lot. So this is the start of the Enchantment Under the Sea shawl. And once again, it's a little bit lighter than this, but at least you can kind of see what I have done. So I cast on 3, and then I have increased on this side. So that is the front side, second to the last stitch. I did a knit to the front, then knit through the back. And this is a corner to corner. So it's a triangle that's going to go like this, okay? And I just knit in garter, which is just knit in on the front side and knit on the back side. So it helps prevent curling. Obviously it's curling a little bit. That's fine. When I go to wear it, it'll actually look better curled. And then I just kept doing that with the increases until I think I had 15 stitches because I want 5 stitches of garter on each side to help with the curl. So you can see right in the middle is some stockinette stitch. So there's 5 stitches of stockinette here. Then I continued to increase, and I think I did this section for 10 to 13 rows. I was trying to decide, and I think I chose like 11 or 13. I'm not sure. It's on the Ravelry, and I guess I really need to know that before my trip. Maybe I wrote it down. I don't think I did. I don't know. I don't remember. I did not write it down. Oh, and I brought an extra knitting cable, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So, whatever, how many rows. I want the stockinette to be bigger than the little breaks of garter. And so then I did 4 rows of garter. Or is it 8? It's 8 because you're going back and forth. But it makes it look like 4. That's what I want to say. I did like 13 or anyway. And then I'm starting with stockinette stitch again. And I'm just going to kind of repeat that pattern. This block of stockinette, this block of garter, this block of stockinette, this block. And I kept going back and forth about whether changing the size of the blocks. But I was like, no, it's not going to do much, and it's probably going to make it really complicated while I'm on my trip, because I'll be like, oh, which, size block am I on? And I was like, that's just going to make it too complicated. So, yep, that's what I'm going to do. I think it'll be cute enough. I want something simple. The yarn is very active, and so you want a simple pattern. I did go ahead and split the yarn because I didn't want to have to hassle, especially since I wasn't going with a pattern. Sorry, I'm trying to sit up straighter. And that way I know to start decreasing when I finish with this one. And I purposely made this one bigger, so I would have some left over. And I probably, knowing me, I probably won't finish with this you know, I'll kind of gauge the size. But that way, that would be the maximum size I could do. We'll just see. But yeah, excited about that. Oh, the knitting needle. Even though it matches because it's blue, this is a new knitting needle. I ordered it, and it is smaller than I thought it would be. I don't mind knitting on it. It's a little weird because I feel like I'm a little tied. I think I'll be fine, but I also didn't want to be uncomfortable, or didn't want to, if it's getting bigger and this is just funky because it's bending here, I don't know. So I am bringing a what I call my standard size, which is probably 10 inches. I don't measure. I think this is that's got to be bigger than 10 inches because this looks like it's 12 inches. Maybe it's 40 inches. I don't know what the standard ones are. But anyway, so yeah, like it because it is small. I was going for a smaller one while I was ordering, but this came a little bit smaller than I thought. And like I said, I'm just not sure. There's not much room. So we'll see. I do like, I don't have the name of it. Oh, these are Addies, made in Germany. These are 3.25. And these are 16 inches. They wrote on the little cable. That's very smart. I like you. Thank you. Anyway, I like the feel of the needles. They feel nice and slippery. They feel, a nice transition here. Some of my cheaper ones, really cheap ones, they're awful and the yarn snags. So no problem with that. It's more of the length, which is my fault. I'm the one that ordered that. We'll see. So just have an extra one for backup. Another reason to start your project beforehand, so you get the feel of them. Make sure you have everything you need. Socks and Enchantment of the Sea Dance. So those are my two main projects. And then my third one, which I actually was working on. Oh, it was 4th of July. I went shopping with my parents and I was working on it in the car. And because I was falling in love with the pattern I created for it. And I'm trying to tell myself not to work on it until the trip. I'm probably going to work on it a little bit here and there. I go and get my pedicure done. And last time I was getting my pedicure, I was working on some socks. And was just finishing up a pair. Yeah, it was the blue pair, the Star Trek Discovery pair. Anyway, the lady, we were talking about yarn, and she was just fascinated with me knitting, and she's like, well, what are you going to bring next time? And so I was like, I can't bring a pair of socks next time. I have to bring something new. And so I was like, well, I'll bring this project, because it's only like an hour, if that. And so what if I do an hour on this pattern? But I didn't want to knit on some socks on 4th of July. I was like, I'm getting, the socks I'm working on are kind of bleh, and then I'm going to be knitting a lot of a lot on that sock on my trip, and I'm kind of getting a little discouraged by socks. They're just kind of, I don't mind them, but I'm just like, So yeah, started the project and then was working on it. So this is a lot bigger than the Enchantment of the Sea pattern. Sorry. So this one is a center down, top center. So you increase in the middle, and you also increase on the sides. So it actually ends up, and it's weird how this works, because you think it's smaller and so it increases this way, but it actually increases this way. I've done it several times for some of my other projects, and once again, I don't have an FO for you today. I should have brought one. And the increases, I used yarn overs. And then the two other projects I've done with this, I've done like every 10th row, I've introduced a eyelet row, which is yarn over, knit two together, yarn over, knit two together. So it's that same basis, but I am changing the eyelet row just a little bit. So I'll show you the top. This is the starting point. Once again, start with 3 stitches. And then you yarn over, you have the centered stitch, and you yarn over it on the right side, on each side of that centered stitch, and then you also on the right side, you yarn over at the beginning and the end. So you increase 4 times. So this is it. And what I did is for the eyelet row, instead of just one row, I've done 2 here, then I did 3 here, and then I did 2. Now once again, kind of like that last project where I was thinking about changing the blocks, different sizes of blocks. This will be a little bit easier because I can look at it and go, oh, this is a 3-row eyelet row. I need to do a 2-1. I didn't have to count. You can literally see the difference. You can see 3 holes here. You can see 2 holes here. So the next one is going to be a 3 stitch. You know, super easy. Yep, I got a little bit of work done on this one. I can't remember. I thought I'd named this Roses in the Meadow or something. I don't know. It looks like rose flowers because it's got the pink, but it also has like the green from the stems. Roses and Sunshine? I don't know. I don't think it's named on Ravelry because I think when I was creating it, I was like, I don't remember. But yep, that is, I think, written on Ravelry. So those are my 3 projects for my trip. I am, this one I was using this beaded bracelet I've had for years. Sorry, my neighbors keep driving by. This little beaded bracelet. It's like an adbicus, those little counters. And each time you do a row, you just bring down a bead. And then when you're done, bring it up. So I'm knitting the the garter until for 10, for 10 rows, which there's 9 here because these are the single ones and then these are the 10 ones, the 10th ones. So you do 9 and then bring one down. I know all these are down, but I wanted to be able to tell the difference. As opposed to this, I don't remember. Anyway, so I was using that. Adbicus. I ordered this beautiful counter off Etsy, and I think I've talked about it. And if it comes in time, I'm gonna use it for the Enchantment Out of the Sea dance shawl. No dance, Enchantment Out of the Sea shawl. It's coming from Canada. The lady took 8 days to create the shipping label. And I was just like, hey, why is this not shipped yet? And she's like, oh, well, we had the holiday. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't live in Canada. And there was, and it's not 4th of July because it was weeks ago. Like, I don't know what holiday you're talking about. And usually a holiday is like 1 day, so why does it take you 8 days to create the label or whatever? I'm like, I don't know. And I'm trying not to be judgmental. I'm trying not to be upset. But it's just like, really? I'm trying to get this here in time before my trip. So I was like, okay, fine. She, according to the tracking, the package tracking, it looks like she created the label after 8 days. Congratulations. It took you that long to print a fucking label. Excuse my language. So then I sat there and watched it. So that was I ordered on the 20th of last month. She created the label on the 28th due to some holiday. Maybe I'll look it up. Maybe it's a week-long holiday. I don't know. And then I kept watching it. And then yesterday, which is was the 7th of July. So that's 7 plus 2. That's 9-ish days. If there's only 30 days in July. In June. So 9 days. It sat, and like I said, this could be completely wrong. Could not be. Maybe the day she created the label, she actually shipped it, and so it's just the tracking that's wrong. I don't know, but it said that the UPS was waiting for the package. Now, it might be the UPS in the United States was waiting for the package to come over, over the border. So maybe that's what it was. Fine. Once again, that's not her fault. But it finally moved yesterday. But I'm just like, it's in the United States. It looks like it's in New York. It's got just shy of 2 weeks to get here. Come on, New York, let's go. So anyway, I want to be wearing this as a bracelet when working on this shawl, and then I want that counter for my Enchantment Under the Sea shawl. We'll see. I'm getting hungry. It's lunchtime. So those are my projects. I'm just waiting for this to... If it dies on me, if it just cuts off without me saying goodbye, that I'm not re-recording this. I'm at 25 minutes and I've said most of what I need to say, so I'll just post what I get. I'm not going through this again. I'm sorry. It's so deteriorating. Deterrent? It's such a deterrent. There we go. So, I will talk about what I really want to talk about in case it kicks me off again. Working on trying to finish that cable cardigan, I was going to call it a shawl. Cable cardigan shawl. Shawl. Cable cardigan for my trip. I have finished so if you've been watching, they're pulling their boat. I was like, why is my neighbor driving so slow? They're pulling it. Oh, they're going to take their boat out today. Have fun! And then my dogs are going to bark at them. So if you watched 2 episodes ago, you saw that I had the back panel done and then the front 2 panels, and I was working on the first sleeve. I finished the first sleeve! It gets so big. And in fact, I actually stopped increasing before you were supposed to, but I tried it on and I was like, I don't want it super baggy up here. And look, it's baggy enough. There's enough. Plus, less yarn it uses, and it'll be faster because the less wider it gets. So I was like, it's fine. It's still, and this yarn is still stretchy. I mean, look at that. I will not be like tight, and if I block this thing, it's gonna get huge. It's supposed to be tight fitting anyway, but yes, you do want some ease underneath the armpit. So, but anyway, I finished the first sleeve. Isn't it beautiful? It is hot. So, I am so sick of this. It's not hard, it's not difficult, and I don't mind cables, but I'm not going to do cables for a very, very long time after this project. It's going to be a long time before I want to do another cable. So anyway, I started the second sleeve. Starting is a lot faster because it's smaller, because it hasn't gotten bigger, so there's less stitches to knit. But yes, I've started, and I think there's 6 of the cabled repeat in the first shawl, first sleeve, and I'm just starting the third one. But once again, it's smaller, so it will go by faster. I'm actually, I'm only increasing, and you cast on 44, and I'm increasing to, I'm doing 10 less, so I need to increase 34 times instead of 44 times. And I'm at like 19, so what is that, like almost yeah, that's like halfway through my increases. And then I knit I think it's 29 rows. I'm trying to look at my pattern over there. I think it's 29 rows, and then you're done. And then there's something about before you can put everything together, there's some other little stitch you have to do, something about a collar or something. So I would love to finish this sleeve this weekend. It's already midday through Saturday, but I have the rest of today and tomorrow, so we'll see. And then I would love to work on just little tidbit things for the next couple days, work days, hopefully finish, and then I really need to catch up on my temperature blanket. I have not touched it because I'm desperate to get this done before my trip. Temperature blanket can wait, although I'm going to be a month behind, but it's fine. I would love to catch up on that before my trip too, because by the time I get back from my trip, I'm going to have multiple days to add to that. So yes, yay, we're getting there. Last weekend, the day after I podcasted last time, or recorded, I should say, I was getting my camp gear ready for the trip, and I threw out my back. The worst back throwing out I've ever done. And so I was laid up in bed just try not to move, try not to sneeze. Sneezing was the worst. Oh my god. And I'm doing better. Me slouching doesn't help. So I didn't get any knitting done that day. And then, oh god, it was such a busy weekend. So if you want to hear about my weekend, I had a 4-day weekend last weekend. And it went by like this. Like, oh my god, just gone. Saturday, I made bread. I recorded 3 or 4 times. That took forever. By the time I finished that and sat down to start knitting on the cable cardigan, my brother texted me and wanted to go to lunch. So we went to lunch. We sat around talking, and then I got home, and it was rainy. Maybe I didn't record that day. When did I freaking record? Maybe I recorded Sunday. Oh my god, I don't remember. Before I threw out my back. Anyway, so came home, and it was cooler weather. It had rained all morning, and this night I was like, oh, I need to do garden work. I need to pull weeds out of the garden. The ground is soft, or the garden's soft because of all the rain. It's cooled off. I'm not gonna be sweating like crazy. Gotta get this done. So I started working on that, and I had about an hour. So I worked on that like crazy. Got one bag completely done, and then it was time to go over to my parents' house for the 4th of July fireworks, which they do the weekend before. Usually, just depends. Anyway. So I was over there. I did bring the cable cardigan, but with having the pattern and the cable needle, it's just too much as a traveling. I had no real place to set up because we keep moving around. We sit outside for a little bit, then we go inside. And my parents got a new boat, so then we were looking at the boat. Anyway. And so that was that day. Then Sunday, I had breakfast with the girls. I think I recorded, and then I started working on the camping stuff throughout my back. The rest of the day gone. Then Monday we went boating. So I worked on my socks. And obviously I cannot take the cable cardigan boating. If I can't do it while sitting at my parents' house, I cannot do it on the boat. And then Tuesday, which was actual 4th of July, we went shopping. We went half price book shopping, and I got some books and some DVDs and stuff. I think I looked at some knitting books. I don't know if I got some baking books. I'm trying to get into bread baking. Probably when it gets a little bit cooler, but anyway. So there went that day. And that was it. That was my 4-day weekend. Just like poof, gone. And I'm just like, ugh. But anyway. So the last thing I want to show you is my cozy memory blanket. I've mentioned it a few times, and I don't think I've shown it to you. I don't think I have. I have it in this bag, and I've been getting so bored with socks I've actually been working on this while on the go. It's not as good for on the go. In fact, I'm not looking forward to those socks while I'm walking around. But I'll be doing a lot of walking, and maybe I won't knit socks until then. And then I'll be like, oh yeah. I'm also not really liking the yarn I'm using for that sock, but that was a pair I started a long time ago, and I just want to get them finished. So anyway, this is my cozy memory blanket. If you've never heard of that, it is where you use scrap yarn to make a metered square, which is the same kind of square I'm using for my temperature blanket, where you cast on a certain number, gotta be odd, and then you start decreasing in the center, and it makes it fold up like a square. A lot of people do it. It's perfect for scrap yarn. I'm doing it in my scrap sock yarn because I use a lot of different sock yarns because I have a lot of sock yarns. I do a lot of socks, and I do a lot of shawls in those, and so it's just easy. So this is mine, and I did not use the pattern because when I originally found it and was like, ooh, I want to do that, I put it in my my stash on Ravelry, and then it became a big hit, and she started charging people, so I no longer had it for free, and I hadn't looked at it yet, which made me really sad. And once again, I don't blame them, but I can't afford it. So luckily I know how to do a metered square, so I'm creating my own. I think my square is a little bit bigger than everybody else's, but I don't care. It just uses up more yarn and it go by faster. So, and hers is set up differently. I think I'm doing it where this is the bottom down here. And then it's going to go up because of these lines. My brain was like, I gotta do these lines straight up and down. And I've seen a couple different ways. There's one girl that I watch. She does them almost like in groups of 4, so they're all facing each other. But I saw something like this, and I was like, I like that appeal. I like those stripes going up, those decreased stripes. So these are all just different yarns I've used in the past. Here, let me hold this up. Every single one is completely different than the other, even though that these two look really close together. This was my, I gotta grab that when I was in Utah. Which is why this pattern is called the Cozy Memory Blanket, because you look at it and go, oh, I remember that. This one it's just a little bit bolder and deeper, and I think I've shown you that color. This one I've never actually done a project for. I do not like pink, but it came as a mini skein to something else, and I was like, fine, I'll just stick it in here. I don't mind it in here. It's not that bad. But it was a mini skein. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with a mini skein? And this other stuff. This one, I made a little elephant stuffed animal for my mom with that one. I'm working on this one. So, and just random stuff. This was a shawl. You've seen that sock before. You've seen that sock before. That was my tutorial sock that I was using. So, but yeah. It's small. It's going to take forever, and it's fine. I do have, when I finish anything that's sock weight, I throw it in this bag, and then I'm a little OCD. I don't want, although I always have more blues than anything. I don't want like a big patch of all blues, and so I try to space them out. But here are all the colors I need to add to it. I'm thinking lots of blues. And all these blues would have looked great on that one shawl I was originally talking to you guys about during the beginning of the show. I just couldn't find the base. So I'm going to keep them, but I probably will hang on to them and maybe make that shawl again, but just in the blues. And I just love the look of these. They're so cute. I don't know why us women love small things. This was yarn from when I bought a lot of my yarn for $3 after that lady passed away. These were amongst them, and I was like, oh my god, they're so cute. And so this is all I have of them, and I'm just gonna stick them in here. Once again, they're not something I knitted with, but I have no other use for them. And in fact, I love them so much that I have created from spare yarn after putting them in here. I've created my own, and I put them in like a jar as decoration out in my curio cabinet. But they are so cute, the speckliness and rainbowy, and they're tiny and so sweet, and I'm gonna be so sad when I actually use them up. But I've got a lot of little other pieces. I hope they fit. I hope it's enough. If not, then I'll just grab some other yarn. I've seen like kind of like this striped one. Yes, it is all one yarn, but it's got different stripes, so it may look like that. It's fine. It's a scrap yarn blanket. So, but yep, there is that. Whew. I think that is it. And yeah, my back is starting to hurt. 38 minutes is not too bad. I kind of already talked to you about my weekend last. A lot of podcasters have like a section at the end where they're like, let's talk about my life. So I was like, I don't know if you guys even care about that. So if you don't, go ahead and stop. I guess I will talk about my life. I live in North Texas. It's funny because the only person I know that watches this is my sister, and she knows all this. So it sounds really stupid. Hi, Jess. But maybe someday somebody else will watch these and want to know more about me. I own my own house. This is my beautiful yarn room. I've done a tour before, and it's kind of a mess because I have my stack of camp gear over here ready to go. So it's easier to put it in here because the dogs can't get to it. I keep this door usually closed, and if not even that, I have a baby gate in front of this door. So they're only allowed in here when I allow them to be in here. they were in here earlier when I was knitting, and I'll let them back in. I don't mind it, but I do have a dog that does like to chew on the yarn, and so I gotta keep an eye on her. So she's not allowed in here without supervision. Speaking of dogs, I have 4 dogs, and then 3 cats. And I'm thinking, I kind of miss the sound of a bird chirping. And I'm wondering, I used to have a sparrow that I hand raised, and I miss her. And I'm wondering if I should go and buy a bird. I don't know. Not that I need more animals. And where would I put her? But I thought about hanging her from the ceiling. Getting a bird cage and hanging it from the ceiling. That way the dogs and cats can't get to her. Or him. My last bird was a girl, so I just got to hit her. I don't know. I own my own house. I already said that. I am a junior accounting manager. I don't even know my own title. At a local, like, accounting. It's not really accounting, but they do taxes. They mostly like do bookkeeping for businesses, payroll and things like that. So I work there. I've been working there since mid-October, just before Halloween. I've been working there full-time since like December though. Before that, I was a full-time vet tech. Did that for several years, but I physically just can't do it anymore, and so I had to look for alternative, and I decided, let's be an accountant. Why I chose accounting, I have no idea. I do like numbers. I am not super smart. I consider myself smart enough, especially if I work hard enough. I can kind of figure out what's going on, especially with numbers. I'm definitely better with numbers than I am with language. If you just listen to me, I suck with language, but numbers are what they are. Language has all these stupid exceptions to the rules, and even those have exceptions, and blah blah blah, and pronunciation, and I don't talk very well. But 2 + 2 equals 4, people. Simple, plain, ta-da. So easy. So anyway, and I love organization, and that's a big thing about accounting. But I won't get into that because accounting is kind of boring. But it is nice to have a sit-down job. I sit and am able to like have one of those earbuds in and watch something, or really you do a lot more listening than watching. And the last couple weeks, because I've been trying to stay in the knitting mode to finish the cable cardigan, I've been watching a knitting podcast. I have a couple that I follow, but I can only watch a couple episodes, and I'm like, I had one that was my favorite. She no longer makes them, and even took down the ones. I was like, I'll rewatch them. I loved her. She was the yarn hoarder. She was from Chicago. Big, poofy, curly hair. She was just so bright and happy and chuckly, and she did a lot of socks, and I absolutely loved her. And all of a sudden she just stopped making them and took down all her videos, and it saddens me because I considered her a friend, and now she's gone. But anyway, so I've been trying to like find one that I love that much again, and I think I have roughly, at least, well, I've been watching like 8 hours, or at least while I'm at work. I've been having like the next one, the next one, the next one. Now, once again, I'm at work, so I'm only like half listening, so it's not as like in depth. But she seems to, every time I'm years behind. Like, she starts in 2017, and obviously this is 2023, so I'm 6 years behind, although it just became New Year for her, so I'm only 5.5 years behind. But, so I'm slowly catching up. But anyway, and so I think all of her videos are pretty spaced out. I don't know, I didn't really pay attention to the dates that she posts, put them up. But it seems like every time she makes a video, she's got at least one project done, and usually it's like a freaking sweater. I'm like, how the heck did you get a sweater done in that short of time? And here I am. Although I'm posting like every week or 2 weeks, and that's because I'm just super energetic and am enjoying doing this. So I don't have much to show you guys of like, oh look, I finished a sleeve that I was almost finished with last time I podcasted, so woohoo! But she's got some really cute stuff. I like her color palette. That's another thing I've noticed, that because I want to look at the yarns, go ooh, ah, And there was a couple I liked their energy and their attitude, and even sometimes their projects that they're doing. But there's one girl I love watching because I love her energy. She's from Chicago. She actually reminds me a lot of the other one. But she loves Pink. And I really don't have nothing against Pink. It's just not my thing. But so when I'm watching, I'm like, I'm not enjoying the yarn that I'm looking at because it's all pinks and reds. And I'm just like, I'm not enjoying that. And it makes a difference. So anyway. I think that's the Professor Knits. I do like her. I've tried a couple other ones. Oh, anyway, the one I'd like, she's in Canada, and Ottawa, Canada. Her podcast is Big Little Knits. So I found her sometime this week, I think. It hasn't been 2 weeks. Week and a half to a week. And I think I watched about 6 months worth. Because she's gone through Christmas and now New Year's. Anyway, and I really am enjoying her. She does a lot of shawls and a lot of sweaters. And she makes me want to do more sweaters. And I really do want to do more sweaters. Someday. Shawls are fun and easy though. And I have shawl weight yarn. So. But anyway, so that's what I've been doing at work. I just sit there and have her going. Outside of work, I knit and I garden. I have a vegetable garden in the backyard that the first couple years was great and I loved it. Now I'm just kind of getting tired and it's hot. I don't want to be out there. And I've had multiple mishaps. Either my dog's getting in there and digging up everything, things dying, you name it. It's just been, last year all I had was watermelon. Everything else died. And I planted probably 10 different plants, varieties. And all I had was 4 bays of watermelon. And I call them bays. This is not a gardening thing, so I won't. There's sections, and I call them bays, okay? I just had watermelon. That's all I had. I got so sick of eating watermelon. I was giving it away. It was crazy. I had 2 watermelons every day to pull off. It was nuts. Surprisingly, I don't have a volunteer watermelon because I know there was a lot that I just let rot because I was like, I'm not going in there to grab it. Ugh. Plus, I usually battle with what's called squash bugs. They're creepy little bugs, and they will eat the leaves of the plant. And if they do enough damage, they could potentially kill the plant. Those plants need those leaves. And so I purposely try not to grow anything that they are attracted to. And they do like watermelon. Now they prefer zucchini, actual squash, zucchini and pumpkin. I was gonna say pineapple, things like that. And so I don't grow those. Well, then, and surprisingly, they don't really go after my cucumber plants, which is considered one of those plants that they would like. I've seen a couple of them on. I haven't seen any this year, although I haven't really looked. But anyway, I'll get into that in just a second. But they did go after my watermelon, my melons. I guess melons are close enough to squash. I don't know. And so battling those, it's just so much work in the heat. This year, pretty much everything died. Pretty much the dogs kept getting in. That was the trouble this year. Every time I got something going, the dogs would go in and dig it up and destroy it. And I actually gave up for a little bit and decided to let the weeds, which was actually really nice grass growing, I was like, just take over. I'm going to shut off the sprinkler. You guys can fry in the heat and I'll clean you out and then start again next year. But I kept looking at it and looking at it and looking at it. And I really wanted to have a garden. So I decided to start cleaning it out. It took me months to clean it out. I was ripping carpets of grass out. In fact, I was placing that grass in spots in my backyard that doesn't have a lot of grass. Either the dogs run around a lot or it's really shady, things like that, and trying to get it to grow. And some of it has grown. I transplanted grass. And then I went out, and when I was doing that, I saw that some of my green beans were growing. And I pretty much this year, I just want green beans and cucumbers for the most part. Those are my two favorites. We'll stick with that. I did have one corn stalk, but of course the dogs destroyed that. Thanks. I had one little ear of corn growing, and one of my dogs got in there and broke it and killed it. Thanks. Went out and bought... when I was cleaning it out, I noticed that there was some green bean plants that were still trying to survive, so I left them in there. Those did okay for a little bit, and then they started looking like poop, and then the last couple days they've looked better. At least one of them has, so we'll see. Went out and bought cucumber plants from Lowe's. I usually do from seed, but I was already late in the season because all my cucumber plants had died because of the dogs and whatnot. And so I was like, fine, I'll just go ahead and buy them. I've had in the years past where me growing from seed, they didn't like to be transplanted and they've died, and I've had to go out and buy ones anyway, so I was like, just stick with that. Those are doing amazing. I've had one cucumber so far, but I glanced at it last night. Amazing. So I'm hoping maybe today or tomorrow I'll go back out and see if there's another cucumber. I didn't see anything that looked like, little pickle size, so I think it's going to be a while. But they are growing happily. So that's the garden. I knit, I garden. I'm out of school right now. I am an accounting major. I'm trying to finish up my bachelor's in accounting. I got about 3 classes left. Woohoo! Unfortunately, I'm only taking one class this upcoming semester in the fall. Just with my schedule and what's available, that was the only one I could take. It's fine. I'm actually kind of looking forward to a more relaxed semester anyway. I do have the job I pretty much want anyway, and so I'm not in a huge rush to graduate anymore. Although graduation does sound really good, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm not gonna get upset over something like that. So that'll be coming up. My summer is almost over, and it really upsets me because I was so looking forward to the summer. This is the first summer I've taken off from school in years, since I started. And I was going to do so much. I was going to continue to hike. I do a little bit of hiking. Herb did. I was going to get way more knitting done. Although my knitting I'm not too upset about. I've gotten a good amount. I was going to do puzzles. I mean, you name it. Clean my house. All this stuff. Well, right when summer started, I hurt my neck and was pretty much in a neck brace. And, well, bending over was the worst part. Looking down. Well, that's how you work on a freaking puzzle. So the puzzle is literally sitting under those like foam mats that we use to block our stuff. So I cleared off my kitchen table, started the puzzle, and I put those blocks on those mats on top because my cats love getting on the table, and so to protect the puzzle. I think I've worked on the puzzle twice. I just need to put it in a box. I'm not going to finish because I'd rather knit anyway. But it's just that really. Actually, I went through a depression because I just couldn't do anything. I couldn't hike. I couldn't work on the puzzle I wanted to. I spent hours and money buying the right puzzle, and it really sucked. Actually, I bought 2 puzzles just in case. Yeah, I haven't hiked. Now it's just too hot, and now that my neck is better, I'm having problems with my hip. I did go and take the dogs for a walk around the neighborhood, which is about a 45-minute walk. And the hip was okay. I babied it. I totally babied it. And so that's doing fine. I'm trying to see if I can get it feeling better and how much walking I can do, because once again, my trip that's coming up is a lot of walking, but at the same time, try not to like re-injure it or make it worse. It's a fine line. So, but yeah, it's been my summer. And now, and it's like, the beginning of the summer is like, great, you have all this time, you're going to do, so much, it's going to be amazing. And then as we get closer to our trip, that's all it is just thinking about that trip. By the way, Jesse, you just texted me. It's just all about that trip, getting ready and what's going to happen, and you're just like thinking about that, and you're just waiting for that. So all this time that you're waiting for that is like wasted time in a sense. And then after that trip, it's almost school time again. I'll have a couple, school usually doesn't start until August, like 20th, so I'll probably have like 3 weeks-ish before school starts again. And then, but I'll be like, okay, getting stuff ready back for the school. It's just like, poof, gone. Maybe if I didn't have a job and actually had a summer break like you did as a kid, it'd be different, but it's okay. Once again, I'm taking only one class this semester, so you probably won't feel so bad. I think that's it. I'm 5 minutes away from it being an hour, which means it'll probably take 3 days for this thing to load. And I'm getting hungry. I really want pizza. But I'm supposed to be on a diet. I need to lose some weight before the trip. This is going on the internet. So anyway, I think I'm going to let you guys go because I really need to get back into knitting. I've got to get this cable cardigan finished. So even though the thought of wearing it when it's 100 degrees outside, it's just mind-boggling, but I will appreciate it on the trip. So, all right, I'm going to let you guys go. I'm hoping that maybe next weekend when I record, I'll have it finished. Because the following weekend, I'll be gone. We'll see. All right, guys. Bye.